So what I wanted to share with today's call is something that I have been working on. And part of like this Hottie with the body, like you're getting your diet and your fitness and like you're getting your essentials of diet, exercise, and mindset. But there is like a whole next level of deepness that I want to be sharing with everybody and bringing into our awareness, because it's this deep level that I feel has allowed me to heal myself, to go from having the chronic pain and tension to coming back from a psychosomatic injury where I had that neck injury, but I didn't have an external accident. And then at this new stage where now it's like I'm athletically working out 6 days a week. I'm not tracking macros. I don't have any limitations. I don't have any restrictions to avoid being in pain. And when I zoom out and I look at the like overarching spiritual concept that we're either moving away from pain or we're moving towards pleasure, and that we have this fight, flight, freeze, fawn system in our unconscious that causes us to act in protection. Like when we're looking at that, like I'm not operating in those things. And so this is just something that I'm so passionate about, and that like all of my focus and my energy goes into of how to explain this in a way that gets people as excited about it as I am, because it's this level of knowledge and understanding that's been able to really transform my body image, my self-esteem, and then how those things were manifesting in our body. So what I've been working on, I'll show it to you in the camera. This is 1, 2, 3 pages that I had scribbled everything that I've learned about psychosomatics and spirituality and the physical outcomes. And so what I'm putting together is putting it onto a single infographic. But then within this single infographic, I'm going to be breaking this up into smaller trainings to explain the whole thing. And so what I have so far, as you can see, like I don't have it finished yet, but if you look on the left side of your screen, you'll see that this is the physical cellular body. This is the material universe side. And then we have the non-physical cellular body. And cellular body just came into my mouth today. I was so excited when I heard myself say that. I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool. Cellular and cellular. Yeah, I was really excited about it. So
Cool.
that line that we have going down the center, that's the space in between the material and the anti-material universe. And astrophysicists don't have a name for it. They just say there's something in between the two worlds. But if you go into the Gnostic scriptures that predate the Bible, they talk about it as the pleroma, that it's this opalescent, milky white substance that's in between two worlds. And back in the day, eons ago, in the Gnostic scriptures, it talks about people actually trained themselves to be able to see the substance. So I am sharing with you like real things that are invisible. And this is the understanding that, like I said, that has just brought me to a whole new level with my body. So if we look at this physical cellular body and the non-physical cellular body, we're going to go down the line all the way down eventually into a training where we're looking at where these things show up in the wheel of life with our environment, our culture, our family, our peers. So this is going to be extensive, and we're going to go bit by bit, and we're just going to cover right now down to the chemical experience of emotion. So if you look at that physical cellular body and then the non-physical cellular body, the first thing that we're going to talk about is the neurophysiological process. Basically, all that means is how your brain is initially taking in this stimulus. And so the physical body has perception. So when you're moving through the 3D level, vibrational level of the quantum field, the subatomic field, we're perceiving through the body, so that the body is picking up with spidey senses to let the brain know this is safe or unsafe. When we have the neurophysiological process, so it's mind, body, brain, body, neurons, and the nervous system, when it's coming from the inside out, that's our intuition. That's the thing that we can't really explain, that you can't really quantify. It's just the inner knowing that you have. And it's also called the clairs. And this intuition is also the thing that we are experiencing when we're meditating. So when we're in our brain and heart coherence meditation and we're imagining something that would make us feel love, joy, appreciation, kindness, or care, and we have a thought come to mind because of a smell or because of a taste in our mouth, that's what we're doing. We're invoking the experience from the inside out on the cellular body. And then the perception is what you're experiencing from the outside in on the cellular body. And the important thing to understand here is that both of these neurophysiological processes are experienced through emotion. And if you've gone to like any courses about sales, they'll talk about how people buy with their why. They're not really buying with logic. They like think about things logically after, and that's when the buyer's remorse comes in. But we make decisions based on the emotional feeling that we're having about something. And so those two are broken up as well, that we have the molecules of emotion that secrete from our brain. And then we have a vibrational signal that emanates from our mind body, from the mind and from the physical body. And so I didn't get all the way through here, but this is, we're either going to have regenerative or degenerative molecules of emotion. And the regenerative emotions are the things that go along in our meditation of love, joy, appreciation, kindness, care. These are all of our growth hormones and our anti-aging hormones. And then the degenerative ones are like our stress molecules of like cortisol, and like too much cortisol. Like cortisol is a good hormone. It's a mover and shaker hormone to get you going. But if we have so much stress going on, we're going to constantly have this hormone secreting from our body, but then it deteriorates our body. And anytime that we have emotions that we're not processing, the molecules actually physically stay within the body. And wherever they decide to cluster is oftentimes where we have the degeneration of the tissue. And now that's to say also that like if we have repetitive movement patterns, like if we're at a desk, you're going to have thumb problems. If you're like a Pilates teacher, I remember all the Pilates teachers that I knew that were in there that were teaching for more than 10 years had thumb problems because of how they were changing the springs for their clients all day, every day, instead of having their clients do the changing. So you got to like also have discernment that some degeneration of our body is due to repetitive movement patterns, but like the aches and pains that like don't quite make sense, where you always have this tension or you always have this problem or stuff like that, that has a lot to do with unprocessed emotions, molecules clustering in certain areas of the body. It's like the unexplained stuff is what we're really talking about here. And when we look at what's happening on the vibrational cellular level, let me try to get this like somewhat even. I can fix it later. We have expansive and we have constrictive. And when we're thinking about those, our vibrational field is more like, this is how I understand it. It's more of a sphere. And so that we have the center point between our heart chakra and between our solar plexus, which is like the first dimension, or it's like the center point that then hooks us into our cellular body. That's like, it's like a button that keeps us all together. And so when we're talking about having an expansive vibration, a lot of people will talk about having a high vibration because they're thinking about the emotional scale in levels of up and down like a ladder. But really, a high vibration is really an expansive vibration. And an expansive vibration is a double-edged sword, because if you have an expanded vibration, you're able to see and experience and feel low vibes, so sad emotions, sad experiences in life, but still be able to stay grounded. And so a lot of people feel that when they raise their vibration, they're not going to experience anything negative in their life. And that's just not the case. It's a broader perspective of wisdom that you can ride the wave of negative experiences. And when we are in a constrictive vibration, something that like we're not staying grounded through sadness or guilt or like whatever negative emotion we're experiencing, if we allow that to suck us in, and we lose the ability to perceive everything in its totality. And so when we're looking at this stuff, hey Chelsea, when we're looking at this stuff, you can watch the recording to catch up with it. We like jumped right in. The reason why this is so important to understand, even just like having this as like a photographic memory in your head, when you're experiencing stuff with your body, this is the kind of thing that has allowed me to stay grounded while I was doing this deep shadow work, essentially, and parts work. These are the different names for it, while I was being so restrictive with the anti-inflammatory eating list and with tracking macros. Because as we get deeper into these trainings, I'm going to share with you how these thoughts and feelings and perceptions and intuitions are actually manifesting all around your body. And then what happens is you start to see things as a code, that there's a thought, there's a feeling, and there's an action or a manifestation of that thought and feeling. And when you understand it as a code and you have this in you, what happens is when you feel frustrated about measuring your macro, if you're tracking macros, or when you feel frustrated that you're, trimming down some of the junk food, or you're trying to be more strict or whatever, have more discipline, when you start to feel those emotions want to buck against the system, where you feel like, I don't want to follow this, I should be able to eat what I want. Or when you feel that over anxiety and like the obsessiveness of, I can't have this so that I can have my outcome, and to where we get so stressed out with trying to be disciplined that then we actually have all of these degenerative molecules of emotion cause all this stress. We get a heightened stress response, and because our body's under stress, then we want to go eat. Then we have a big insulin spike. And then if there's too much insulin in our body, the cortisol production will kick in to try to mobilize the insulin and get us out of that sleepy food coma. But then the cortisol eventually becomes a destroyer of our body. So we get into this cycle. And so and that was like, I know that was kind of a lot, but like, that's the thing that happens to the body when we're stressed out about our food, or we're stressed out about the discipline, or we're stressed out about when the results are going to happen. And so knowing how this works, then it's like, okay, wait, we can take a step back and look at how these things, these thoughts and feelings are showing up in other areas of our life that match the behavior and the reaction that we're having to the tools or to the outcome of our goal body. Because then it's like, then you're able to stay in that expansive awareness of, yes, I have these emotions, and yes, I have this stress. I'm directing it towards the food. I'm directing it towards the macro counting. I'm directing it towards the strategy. I'm directing it towards this body that I want to have this outcome for. Oh, that's just where I'm directing it. But really what I need to work on is the combination of the thought and the feeling and the behavior. Because then if I can work on that, then this like push and pull experience that I'm having with the tool, with the strategy, with the outcome, that energy is going to loosen up, and you're actually going to be more grounded in the experience of using these tools. So we're going to get into this deeper. These trainings are going to go through kind of like how this map is on our monthly calls, and on your weekly nutrition drops, you're going to get more of like a practical, subtle habit change that you can implement each week on top of the emotional. I'm renaming the body codes emotional freedom exercises, because that's when you're going to be able to get into your body and move the joints and be aware of your thoughts and feelings to mobilize some of these stored emotions in your body. And then obviously with your exercise and with your like regular nutrition stuff that you have. So don't worry if that felt like a lot. Chelsea, you can ask like any questions you want since you didn't catch the whole thing. But we're going to be going through this piece by piece, and this recording will be uploaded so that you can watch it and go over it. You're not going to get this all at once. I have been working on this for 13 years, since my very first cognitive behavioral therapy book through then learning psychosomatics in 2017. Learning law of attraction stuff in 2015 when my gym folded and I knew I manifested it with my thoughts, because I was aware of my thoughts and feelings around money. Like I knew I caused the collapse energetically. And I also knew that I was avoiding the essential business practices, you know, like I knew. So it's like, so I'm compiling 13 years into a singular piece of paper, an infographic, and then we're going to break it down. But just exposing yourself to this way of thinking about it with whatever things that you're reading or watching on YouTube, like Chelsea, you commented on that YouTube thing that I posted from whatever the school thingy is. Those are really good things. Like you'll see whatever it is that you get your hands on that you're using for personal or spiritual development, you'll start to be able to pick out like, oh shit, that's what they're talking about. Like this is all very matter of fact, explained in different ways that we're going to put onto one piece of paper. So 13 years into one infographic. Don't stress if you don't get it right now. Let's dive into questions. We're here for an hour. We've got 40 more minutes. Let's let it frickin' rip. Whatever you got to talk about, let's talk about it.